You are about to hear the world's only podcast hosted by a Brooklyn-based, songwriting, Jesus-loving couple. I'm Melinda May.
I'm Trevor Knight, and this is Stronger Voices.
Each episode is simply one of our personal conversations recorded and shared with you in hopes you'll be encouraged.
We're glad to have you with us today, and we hope you enjoyed this episode of Stronger Voices. So how are you today, Melinda May?
Are you ready?
For this episode?
Well, I'm interviewing you.
Yes, I'm ready. I'm prepared. I feel excellent
Good.
About this content, and I'm excited to see where the discussion goes.
Good. Have you been thinking about I Deserve Better and stuff?
In the last few minutes, in preparing for this episode, yes.
Great.
Previous to that, not so much in the last, couple weeks, besides checking the stats on it as I do, but yeah.
Let's talk about it. So we decided on Stronger Voices that, we've got a ton of new releases coming up that we're really excited about. We're going to release a lot of new music. And I get so excited about my songs. I always want to tell people how they were made and how they're written and what the lyrics mean. And there's not really an outlet for that at this point. And even if that outlet existed, I like the fact that this is our show. And we
can talk about what we want,
and edit it or not edit it how we want. And so anyway, I had this idea that we would do these episodes about our songs and how they came to be.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought we would start with your latest release, which was I Deserve Better.
Mm-hmm.
And if you haven't heard it, it sounds like this.
And you treat me like a waste of time. I deserve better. Whoa, 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 whoa. I deserve better.
So that's just a little snippet.
Are you going to put the whole song there?
No.
Okay.
6 seconds. And you can listen to it right now on Spotify and iTunes, YouTube, all the places. But let's talk about it. So I'll ask you some questions.
Sure.
Are you sure you're ready?
I am ready. I think this is a good idea.
They're pretty personal, Trev.
You do have a habit of asking pretty personal questions.
I do.
You get pretty deep pretty quick.
I want to know what's going on.
You do. You really do. Yes,
Okay.
Let's do it.
So, tell me how this song started. Tell me about the very first time you got the idea for it. Because once upon a time, this song that we just played a little snippet of, it didn't exist in the world at all.
It sure didn't.
Right. So when was the very first time that this song, the idea kind of fluttered in your mind for it?
Well, this song, which you may not guess, because it's, one of the poppier songs that I've made, you might not guess, but this song is a true story. Word for word, this song's a true story.
Wow. Word for word?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So the experience of this song was born from a moment when I hung up the phone of a conversation that I was having, and I literally spoke out loud the words, I deserve better than this. So I was having this terrible, lengthy conversation with the person I was in a relationship with at the time, and I felt like everything I was doing was wrong and everything was my fault, and I was apologizing for things that I didn't even know what I was apologizing for. And every time that this relationship led to a place of conflict, it was my duty to fix it. And it was my duty to say, I'm sorry, even if I didn't think I did anything wrong, because if I didn't do that, things weren't going to get better. And this happened many, many times, and it felt terrible, and it wore away at me, and it was awful.
Wow.
And so all of what you hear in the verses and then the chorus that's basically just I deserve better, that's true. That's how I felt.
Wow. So take me to that first moment that you spoke out the words, I deserve better than this. You spoke those out loud.
I did.
In your apartment.
I did.
And who heard them?
Just me.
And God.
Yeah.
And where was this apartment?
This apartment was in Battery Park, Lower Manhattan. It was a studio that I flexed into a 2-bedroom, and it was a living room, kitchen, bedroom, office, all in one. Definitely living below my means at the time. You've seen a picture of what this space looked like. It was not, luxurious living.
What do you mean living
I was
below
sitting
your
in this
means?
folding chair that I'm sitting in right now.
Wow.
Yeah.
When you were on the phone?
Mm-hmm.
Wow. And who were you living with?
I was living with David Francis at the time, who is still one of my better friends and a very good man.
Hey, David. Shout out to David.
Shout out to David.
So you hung up the phone and you said this out loud, I deserve better than this.
Yes.
And then what happened?
You know, the next stage in that process of turning it into a song, I don't entirely remember. So some of my songs are born of real experiences. Some of them are more generalized experiences that I think are relatable. But it's relatively easy for me to separate the words I'm saying and crafting and trying to rhyme with from the experience. So yes, this experience is true. All the words in it are true. But once I started making it into a song, I treated it as a song and less of, you know, this painful thing that happened to me. And that allowed me to make it sound nice and come up with rhymes to it, because if I wasn't able to do that, it would suck a lot to just focus on this terrible feeling that I had.
Right.
So, yeah, I think the next step was kind of divorcing the words from the thoughts so that I could focus on the words and, you know, craft it into something that rhymed and sounded good and had melody.
I completely understand what you're saying. And just to relate, you know, sometimes when something happens to me and I want to write a song about it, it's almost like you take yourself out of it and you write the song for someone else
Right.
who's going through a similar thing so that you can actually write it. It's kind of like you're trying to talk about an overall truth, not just the thing that happened to you, but a truth in life or something that you think other people would appreciate, you know,
Right.
Relating to or something. So totally get what you're saying. You kind of have to take yourself out of it and write it for other people or write it about something else or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's a little complicated, but very interesting and a very real thing that I think songwriters do.
I think they do it all the time.
Yeah. Okay, so what's the first thing that came? Was it the chorus? Melody? Or if
Let me
you don't
think.
remember, that's fine too.
I don't entirely remember, but I mean the chorus idea came first just because that was the first thing I ever spoke out. I deserve better. And that's
Yeah.
all the chorus is
Yeah.
just the words I deserve better and then a bunch of, you know, melodic woes in the classic Trevor Knight fashion.
I deserve better. Whoa, whoa, whoa. I deserve better. Whoa, whoa, whoa. I deserve
Okay, so was there a time that you didn't like the song at all or almost didn't finish it, or maybe you thought it wasn't good? Tell me about if there was a time when the song almost didn't come to be.
The song probably would not have come to be if it weren't for Melinda May. I don't know if you remember this, but when we were preparing for the first show we ever did together, I hadn't written that many songs, you know, and we had an hour and a half slot and I was going to do 9 songs. And so in preparation for that show, I needed to finish another 1 or 2 songs. And I played a couple parts of songs that I had written for you. And that was one of them. I basically just played a verse and a chorus of that song, I Deserve Better. And then I played a couple other that weren't finished yet. And I left it to you as, okay, which one of these should I finish up so that I could have another song to play at the show? And you said I should finish that one.
I actually didn't remember that.
Really?
No. I remember it now that you're telling me it,
Yeah.
but I totally forgot about that.
So yeah, the song wasn't finished, and it probably wouldn't have been finished for, you know, a while if I didn't have that spur of you saying you need to finish it by the show so you can play it at the show.
That makes total sense because the song has that little bit of sass to it that I'm just so drawn to.
It does.
In songs.
It's a song. I think that's a characteristic of some of your songs too. It's about something real and painful, but it's presented in a way that's
Fun.
palatable. Yeah.
I deserve better. Whoa, whoa. There's a wink there.
Yeah.
You know, where
Yeah.
I love songs that have a wink there. Like this hurts, but like actually like I'm okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You know?
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of like every song of mine in some way is some kind of like it's about a victory in some way.
Mhm.
And I feel like I Deserve Better has that going on a little bit too. And also, I think probably when I heard it that first time in your apartment, it probably felt to me like this was true,
Mhm.
because there is something about when you play a song that is about your life or
Sure.
about something that you have gone through that just it makes the audience go, whoa.
Yeah.
At least for me.
Yeah.
And maybe, yeah. So maybe that's it. But yeah. So then you decided to finish it.
I decided to finish it, and then I played it for the first time, I think, at an open mic a week or two before our show. And then
Wow.
I played it to, a substantial audience for the first time at our show together on November 20th, 2019.
Okay, so what's your favorite lyric in the song?
My favorite lyric. In the second verse, I say this dance is getting old, and then there's a little telephone effect where I echo it's getting old, and then I say it's burning holes in my soul, and I actually wrote it as soul, like SOLE, like a shoe,
Yeah.
because like the dance is getting old and it's burning a hole in my shoe.
I love that. I
Yeah.
never thought of that. I just always heard it as
Yeah.
it's burning holes in my SOUL.
Yeah.
That's
so
such
so
a
I
good lyric.
I actually like that. And then another thing I like is at the end, as an outro, I repeat the first verse and I change a few of the words. Instead of whatever gives you peace of mind, I say you can keep your peace of mind. And now I'm leaving that behind. And so I think
Yeah.
it's a nice little, you start and finish with the same verse. And the first one is whatever gives you peace of mind. And then the last part is you can keep your peace of mind. So
Yep.
over the course of the song,
It's like
you-
you got stronger.
yeah, exactly.
That's
so I like
really
that.
Cool. Yeah, I'm so glad that you shared that SOLE, SOUL thing.
Yeah.
It works both ways.
It does.
That's now my favorite lyric in the song too. It's really good. Okay, so my next question was, what are some lyrics in the song that are like completely factual and true to your life? But I guess the whole song is.
The entire song. I mean,
Wow.
we can quickly just recap. So first verse, I'm getting sick of your lines. I'm the bad guy every time. Whatever gives you peace of mind, give yourself an alibi. That's all true. I felt like I was being villainized in basically every time this relationship had a problem. And that was serving as a way to put the blame away from her. I think as a way of bringing the problems to me and saying, here's what's wrong, and waiting for me to apologize. It was taking the blame off of herself.
Yeah.
And then the second verse, this dance is getting old. It's burning holes in my soul. How you do it, I'll never know. Your kiss and your heart have gone cold. That's true, too. I mean, I was so sick of this routine where I didn't know what was wrong. I didn't know how it went wrong, but I had to be sorry for it. And I was so sick of that. And then the bridge, I don't want to be controlled. I don't want to do what I'm told. I'm sick of keeping score. Don't need that anymore. Time to close the door. Yeah, so there's kind of the lyrical change from here are all the things that are wrong to I'm done with this.
Wow.
So the song kind of pivots at that point in the bridge from this sucks, I hate this, to I'm not going to do it anymore.
Wow. I even like the song so much more now, knowing like all of this backstory. I knew a lot of it, obviously, but it's just
you
cool to
wouldn't-
hear you
yeah,
say
I
it
guess
so
you wouldn't-
concisely.
You wouldn't guess that it's such a personal song because it's so
It's so
there's
poppy.
glittery synths and piano and
Wow.
really heavy drums the whole time, and it's kind of dancey and you don't really think about what you're saying. But yeah.
How does it feel to perform this song? What does that feel like when you perform it?
Oh, it's so fun. It's so fun. This song is a good piano song. I've never performed it live on the guitar, and especially on a real piano. I've played it on a real piano a handful of times. My favorite time I probably ever performed this was at the bitter end at an open mic on their real piano, and that was so fun.
This dance is getting old.
Okay, so now you had this telephone conversation, you hang up the phone, you speak these words out loud, you start to make this song, you table it for a while, come back to it, finish the song. Now you've performed it a few times. Now you decide, you know what? I'm going to record this song and I'm going to put it out there for the world to hear. So tell me about recording this and what the production was like.
Sure. So I actually decided to record it because after that show on November 20th, I did that thing that I normally do where I send out a survey to people who were there and I asked them what they liked the most and what I should record next, and a lot of people said that song. So I decided to record that. So the first thing I did was in GarageBand on my laptop, I recorded a piano part, I recorded a vocal track, and then I sent it to a producer I work with a lot named Zach Fuller.
Who we call Dr. Z.
Dr. Z.
Sorry, maybe we can edit that out if we're not supposed to call him Dr.
No,
Z.
I think it's fine. I think it's fine. He is a doctor. That's why we call him that. He's
Right.
I think he's a biologist. But he's also really good at music production, as it happens. So I sent it to him, and then I did the typical Trevor Knight super thorough email with here's how I want it produced, here are some ideas I have, here are some reference songs, I want to make it bubblegummy and poppy and fun, and I want it to have big drums and bass and prominently feature a piano. And then he built an instrumental for it, and we went back and forth a handful of times.
I remember those days of going back and forth with those emails, and yeah.
Yep. So we went back and forth on some instrumental things, eventually got an instrumental that I felt comfortable with. Then we went in and tracked vocals and did the mixing with a fellow named Danny Bobby, who's also really good, and he's good friends with Zach, so that trifecta worked really well because we all could sit in the room together as I recorded vocals, and we kind of mixed it as we went. But yeah, it came together so nice, and I love working with those guys.
Yeah. And then when you got the final mix back of like, this is it, did you immediately just fall in love with it, or did you have to warm up to it a little bit?
No, I loved it.
Wow.
I loved it from the start. I went back and forth with a bunch of mixes. We did a couple different things. We actually changed the main melody line in the chorus. When I perform it live, I voice the woes a little differently, and it's a little more syncopated. But once you put drums in that are on even time, it sounds a little weird. And because when I'm performing it live, there's no drums, I can kind of play syncopated on the piano and sing it syncopated, and it sounds good.
Yeah.
So the recorded version is a little bit different than how I would perform it. So there were a few things like that we changed. We added in a few things. I played the piano in the bridge, so I sent Zach a MIDI track, which is basically just an electronic blueprint of what notes I want played. I played it on my electric keyboard, and then he put the same piano voice on it that he played piano in the rest of the song, so that was kind of fun.
Yeah.
So I got to play the little piano breakdown in the song. But yeah, once we decided on a final mix, I was ready for it to be out. I was like, let's
So
get
excited.
this out.
Yeah. What's your favorite little part of the production?
Definitely that little piano breakdown. So one, because I know that I played it, and two, because there's this cool little Backstreetboys
Ooh.
like 5 harmony things that come in on ooze, and then I do a voiceover over the top of it, and that was literally born in the studio. Like
wow.
we had this.
Wait,
I
hold
think
up.
it's
Let's
4
play
bars.
it first.
Yeah,
So
here it is.
When I call you and when you're with me, you don't.
Yeah, so that thing's only 4 bars, and normally it's when I perform it live, it's just the piano. It's just a 4-bar instrumental of piano. And then when we recorded that in the studio, I recorded that over the top of it, and then I was like, maybe this could use some cool like ooze in it. And if you don't know, there's stacked ooze in almost every one of my songs. It's a thing I do. I like doing it, and I think it adds nice color. So I recorded an ooh, and then I recorded another ooh, and now there's 4 oohs in there, and then there's that little So it's this little, like, the bridge happens, and then it stops for like a beat, and then this nice little end sync breakdown comes in. That's my favorite part.
Tell me about something we hear in the song that was someone else's idea.
Someone else's idea. Ooh, something that I love that was not my idea. And Zach does this a lot when I send him stuff. He has a good sense for my style. He does a lot of cool electric guitar lines, and there's an electric guitar line that kind of goes into each verse and into each pre-chorus, and it drops like right at the right time.
It sounds like this.
So those little things, the transitions between sections, those can be hard to make smooth, and he does a really good job with that, and a lot of time he does it with electric guitar lines like that.
Yeah. Okay. Tell me about something we hear in the song that was purely Trevor Knight's idea. I know you just said that every song has stacked oohs, so that's your idea.
Yep.
Is there another little production flair or something that we hear that's completely, this is out of the mind of Trevor Knight?
Definitely, I guess going off the stacked oohs idea, there are stacked oohs, so there are 8 Trevors singing ooh on every chorus, and you can barely hear them on the first chorus, and then they get louder as each chorus hits, and then at the very end on the outro, on the verse outro, it's just piano and my voice, and that's how I perform it.
Yeah.
And underneath, there's a super reverby, really low version of the stacked oohs.
Let's play it.
Well, you can keep your peace of mind, 'cause I'm leaving all of that.
And they trail off right at the end. So that was definitely my idea, because we had the breakdown where it was just piano and voice, and it sounds cool. But I didn't want it to be too much of a breakdown, and I wanted people to replay the song at the end, and I thought that was a nice touch to make them do that.
Yeah, I think so too. Tell me about something, and this is a tough one, but is there something in the production of the song that almost didn't happen? Something that we hear when we listen to it now, but at first, when it first got added, you're like, oh, I don't know if that works. Maybe we should take it out. But you decided to leave it there, and now we all hear it every time we hear I Deserve Better.
A few things. It's getting old. That
almost didn't make it.
That almost didn't make it. Yeah.
It's getting old.
It's getting old.
It's burning holes.
I remember we put that in the first mix, and that again was born in the studio when I was recording that. I was like, let me do an overdub right there and see if it sounds good, and I kind of liked it. And then we went home with the mix, and Zach sent me an email, and he's like, I don't know if I really like that thing. It's kind of distracting. So I was thinking about taking it out, and then we just put a little bit more of effect on it and brought it down a little bit in the mix, and I really like it. And my dad and my sister both say it's their favorite thing in the song. So.
I love it too.
Yeah.
And every time I say, like, anything is getting old, I think of that, and I bet a ton of people do, because it just, it's one of those things in a song that really characterizes it as its own thing. I think those little...
I'm glad you like it.
Yeah, I think those little touches are important. Those little risks you take that make a song have its own personality or something,
It also, it makes it a little more lighthearted and fun, I think.
Yeah. So we're going to wrap this up, but let's just talk really briefly, and especially because the past few days, you and I have, the past, I guess yesterday and today, and maybe even the day before, I've lost track. We've been working so hard on cover art, and to me, cover art matters so much.
It almost matters to both of us too much, and that it
I think
commandeers a lot of our time.
But I don't want this to come out the wrong way, but I love being an artist, and I love putting out art in the way that I want it to look and sound and feel.
Yep.
And so I love letting that side of myself live, and so part of that is cover art, and I just want it to look right. I want it, to me, it's a part of the song as well. It's a part of how people receive the song and think about the song. So, and like I said, we're kind of wrapping up, but tell me briefly about the cover art for this song. What was your very first idea for the cover art, if you even remember?
I had a bunch of ideas, but one idea I had was just totally black and then a pink I Deserve Better, so just text.
Ooh, that would have been nice.
And I played with that idea a little bit, and you were actually really involved in making this cover art what it is. So then I thought, well, I want to make it a little more fun, a little more inviting. So then I found this picture of myself in a red shirt and sunglasses, and I started playing with that. And I couldn't get it to exactly how I wanted because there were too many colors, and there were green trees in the background, and there was text on my shirt and all this random stuff. And I kind of shared with you that I was having trouble with this, and then you had this really cool app, and you removed all the background. And
we just kind of
we started playing
back
around.
And forth.
Yeah.
What about this? What about that? What about this? Yeah.
But I knew I wanted the predominant color to be pink. So, and it
Any reason for that?
It just sounds pink to me. I
See,
do this with
that's
every.
so artsy, right? This song sounds pink.
Yeah, and back to when we were first producing it, I said I wanted it to sound like bubblegum. Like, you know, I wanted it to be happy and bright and bubbly.
Yeah.
So after you kind of removed the background and we tried some different colors, we came up with this cool grid idea, and that allowed us to use 4 different shades of pink in the cover, and then put a 5th shade as a border, and then I put the I Deserve Better in white in the middle, and I ended up really liking that. So it took a long time to get to that. You know, it's such like I don't know, it takes longer than people think, because it's important to listen to the song while you're doing this, and you want something that you feel good if you share it on Facebook and there's a huge picture of your cover art, and you want something that someone would feel good if they like it on Spotify and they copy the link and they send the link to their friends, and that's what they see. They're like, here, I found this song that I like. You want the cover art to be eye-catching, and you want it to evoke the right things. So it's important to think about those scenarios while you're building the cover art. But yeah, it took a while to get where it ended up, but I think it worked out.
Yeah, I love it. I think it looks so confident and fun, and that's what the song sounds like to me.
It's got a boy bandy vibe.
Yeah.
And so does the song.
Yeah, I love it. Okay, so final question. Share with us how I Deserve Better is doing. How's it doing on the streaming services? You can share, like, if somebody said something specific to you about it that sticks out in your mind, or how's it going?
It's
now?
going well. It's going really well. I think every release I've had, there's a bump in streams right after it's released, which is expected. So it's getting fewer streams than when it first came out. But again, that's expected. But what I love to see is that this song has the highest rate of people saving it to their library of any one of my songs. So
it's kind of like saying, out of, like, it has X number of listeners, and a large percentage of those listeners tap the heart. They're like, oh, I like this song.
Yeah,
exactly.
exactly. So right now it's around 13% of people that listen to the song save it to their library, which I think is pretty high.
Yeah.
And when we first started out, the first 1,000, 2,000 streams, it was over 25%, which is really good.
Yeah. Because I remember sitting at that table in Minnesota and being like, Trevor, 1 out of 4 people who are listening to this song, who are hearing this song for the first time, are saving it to their library.
Yeah. And now that came out over 3 months ago, right about 3 months ago, and it's still right around 13%. So more than 1 in 8 people who listen to this save it to their library, which I think is pretty good.
Yeah.
You know, if I listen to a playlist like Discover Weekly that has 30 songs on it, I think I average about 1 song that I save. So to see 1 in 8 people saving the song, that gives me a lot of encouragement. So yeah, I think as those numbers start to grow and as I release more music, strong indicators like that are really important. How many people are saving it out of the percentage that listens to it? Because you can send your song to 1 million people and you can get 1 million people to listen to it, but you can't pay people to save it to their library. They have to like it.
That's the one stat where it's like, okay, you can't see if someone skipped your song. You can't see if they listened to it all the way through and are like, oh, that wasn't that good. But the saving thing, you're like, they liked it.
Exactly.
So,
yeah, and that encourages me a lot.
Yeah. So you can listen to I Deserve Better on Spotify, Apple Music. It's everywhere. Any way that you listen to music right now. Maybe it's YouTube, Google Play. I don't even know all the places because I only use Spotify. But you can find I Deserve Better. And like Trev said, if you listen on Spotify, go ahead and tap the heart and save it. And you could leave a comment on wherever you're listening. Well, that's not true. You can leave a comment on YouTube if you're listening there. DM us, get in touch with us. But yeah, listen to I Deserve Better. And I hope you enjoyed this. And I can't believe how much you shared, how personal you got.
Yeah, me either. I didn't really expect to, but it's so nice to do stuff like this, because
Yeah.
even if your song gets covered in a blog or whatever, you just respond to the questions they ask, and you don't always get to say everything you want.
Yeah.
So it's nice to be able to talk about it.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
I appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you. I like talking to you about your life. I don't know if you've noticed.
I have noticed
Yeah, I
this.
really like it.
Yeah, I
like it.
appreciate that. I like your life, too.
Thanks. Okay, we'll see you next Saturday.
Thanks for tuning in.
If you liked this episode, send it to someone you love. Also, follow us on Instagram at Stronger Voices Podcast.
You can email us at contact@strongervoicespodcast.com. We appreciate you spending your time with us today, and we'll see you for the next episode.